Okay, morning everybody. Morning and welcome once again to Perkins Online. You know, I am amazed at media in this country. Yesterday, the Observer came out with a story. Quoting the junior minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and one-time Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Errol Ennis, as accusing the government of which he is a member, of using Gestapo-like measures. Well, what is quoted as saying is a Gestapo-like invasion of David Smith's Olent office last year, describing the raid as a vulgar abuse of state power and highly reflective of the actions of a totalitarian state. Now, this is not some pies-mouth radio talk show host who is saying this. This is a member of the government, a member of the governing party, a parliamentary representative, a minister of state in the Ministry of Agriculture, and one-time minister of state in the Ministry of Finance, talking about the government using Gestapo-like methods reminiscent of the actions of a totalitarian state. And my impression is that this matter has been largely ignored. There was an interview with Mr. Ennis on Ralston Greenspin's program yesterday afternoon, in which he elaborated on the matter. And I'm sorry I wasn't able yesterday evening to take off the what I would consider the most important statements that he made. But there is still time. We can still. I have the tape. And he was also on Cliff Hughes's program yesterday afternoon, evening, saying essentially the same thing that he had said on the earlier one. And among the most significant things that he said was that this occasion of Gestapo-like methods in which they sent heavily armed police with M16 rifles into this man's office without having previously challenged what he was doing. According to Mr. Ennis, the impression that he gave was that the first time that Mr. Smith knew that the government wanted to put an end to his activities was when he saw this troop of police coming in with their M16 weapons. And he went on to say that this was not a singular occasion. The government had done this kind of thing on previous occasions. He gave a number of examples, right? And said that he had felt strongly about it throughout that time, but he now thought that the time had come to say something about it. Now, it is possible that that what caused the time to come for saying something about it was the fact that Mr. Ennis is directly involved. He is a member of Mr. David Smith's Olent Club. And from what he says, making substantial profits. So apparently his capital has not, for some years now, been going into government paper. He's doing rather better with Olent. One of the examples, possibly an outstanding example, that I should have expected to hear Mr. Ennis mentioning in this connection, was the example of Central National Bank. Central National Bank, of which Dr. Davis had said a little more than a year earlier, somewhere around Christmas 1994, that if he had to create a bank, he would want to create something like Central National. And a matter of little over a year later, Dr. Davis did something of which what Mr. Ennis describes in relation to Olent. These policemen going in with their long guns and seizing money, taking money out of the man's pocket, we are told, I don't know, and seizing papers and computers and whatever. Dr. Davis did something almost exactly resembling that in relation to Central National. In went the police. I think it was the 9th of July or June. July, 9th of July, 1996. And as a consequence of that, well, not directly a consequence, I suppose that other banks, the whole banking system came almost to a collapse. Gestapo-like action, reminiscent of a totalitarian state. And Mr. Ennis, a member of the governing party, a member of the administration, Mr. Ennis is saying that that is what has been going on in Jamaica. And remember, you know, what the police going into Central National might have been avoided if the owners and managers and operators of that bank had been prepared to allow to a majority of the shares to pass into the hands of a certain gentleman in relation to which a great deal of pressure was put directly upon them in meetings held at Jamaica House. And because they would not hand over their bank in obedience to the demands of the totalitarian authorities, Gestapo tactics came into play. And it was after that forensic auditors were called in. And there have been rumors that the managing director of the bank, Mr. Don Crawford, had committed serious criminal breaches and was to be prosecuted. In fact, as I keep reminding you, a matter in which a libel action was filed against this station and myself and subsequently withdrawn. It will be said that there was a compromise. I was not a party to that compromise. I keep repeating that. It is absolutely true. I made no concession whatever. We were told by the Director of Public Prosecutions. In fact, there was a publication in the Herald, and I waited some days for a response to be made by the Director of Public Prosecutions. None was made. And I proceeded on the assumption that the publication was correct. And in that publication, the DPP said that the prosecution of a number of persons, including Don Crawford, the only name that he called directly, Don Crawford, his prosecution on criminal charges for what had happened at Central National Bank was imminent. That was, I think, on the 4th of August, 2002. If you remember, the country was heating up for an election, which eventually occurred in October. Up to now, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are now at 7. Well, call it 4 years and some months. That prosecution has not yet occurred. We take a break. We come back in a moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. What I don't understand is how any responsible medium in this country could ignore a statement like the one that Mr. Ennis made. Mr. Ennis, this statement is coming from within the administration. Mr. Ennis is a minister of state and was a minister of state in the Ministry of Finance when some of the events to which he referred in his interview yesterday, in one of those interviews yesterday, in both interviews, in fact, he mentioned this happening. And how can any medium in this country ignore what Mr. Ennis says? When he's accusing the government of which he's a member, a junior minister, he's accusing that government of using Gestapo-like tactics, measures, reminiscent of a totalitarian state. And when we see other arbitrary actions that the government has taken in relation, for example, to issues of public expenditure. We talk about, I heard on the Breakfast Club this morning, on which I heard no mention of the Ennis matter. But I heard talk about the rule of law. This is by the president of the PSOJ, talking about the rule of law. What does the rule of law mean? It doesn't just mean that you and I are obliged to obey the law. That was true in Hitler's fascist Germany. The equivalent of you and of me would have been obliged to obey the law in fascist Germany, in Stalinist Russia, and wherever dictatorship is to be found. What the rule of law is about is the state itself, the government and its agencies being bound by law, and in our case by the Constitution, the fundamental law. And there are numerous examples of the state breaching the law. At one level it is happening in relation to financial matters. Like taking NIS money and using it for purposes for which it was never intended. In addition to that, there, at another level, of course, there is the brutality visited upon people of the country by the police. And the cry, the unheard, the unheeded cry for justice coming out of the mouths of people in this country. Where is Jamaica headed? Where? I see the poll put out by the St. Lucia man is telling us that a huge majority of the people of this country think that the country is going in a wrong direction. Wait, what the devil is going on? I'm hearing... What am I hearing on my... Are we off the air? Or have we been supplanted by some other radio station? What's going on? Anyway, I think that the people of this country need to take what Errol Ennis is saying very, very seriously. If a minister of the government comes out and says what he has said, it cannot just be forgotten. And there needs to be a statement on the matter from the Prime Minister. And I should expect also to hear something out of the mouths of the opposition on this. Right? But it is very, very serious matter. It is putting a name to something that has been going on in this country for some time. Right? The Michael Gales and the Agana Barretts and the rest of them are victims of fascism. That is what they are. Anyway, let's go to our phones. Hear what you have to say on the matter. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, morning, sir.
Yes, me calling on behalf of...
Eh?
Me calling from Westmoreland.
Yes.
In behalf of one of my church, brother will die. Amen. Then live on a family land.
The what?
Live on a family land.
Family land?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, the children them know, when he die, he want to bury on back in the house.
Uh-huh.
So, the children them know, make an application to the Parish Council and the Health Office.
Uh-huh.
Then come and look on you and give them okay.
Uh-huh.
When you don't know, don't all Gazima them bill up and everything. When you don't know, if next door know that the other side of family, come and say, he can't bury them.
Uh-huh.
So then go back to the Parish Council man now, head one everybody come. Then say, alright, come down for your meeting. When they go for your meeting, in the day then get a letter say, he can't work, but there is another burying ground on the land.
There's another burying ground on the land?
Yeah, and next one did they. And they no mention say, I'm more than one, you know. They mention say, I want one family plot did they. So, then we up all them money now on a Sunday, then funeral. But when we look on it, it have a party history in it.
A party history?
Yeah. So, you know, say one up on one side and one up on the other side.
What, politics?
Yes.
Eh?
Yes, man.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
So politics to mash up the family?
Yeah. When I party big, when I family big in one side I party. And the next one low up on one side.
I see what you mean.
So then, you know, so if family them are 6 children, he lived over, 80 years.
Yeah. Well, so what is now going to happen?
You don't know, me say, then go to a lawyer, but then say kind of too quick.
To what?
He kind of too quick for court or anything. To a son name he bury.
So where am I going to bury?
Then say then he bury him my other family, but I money if he bill again.
I see what you mean. Well, boy, if politics split the family like that, and you know, I don't know. But I suppose they have to do what they can do. I don't know what...
Might be not even mayor know about it.
Yes.
He go there and know about it, man, but he never come.
Yes.
And what they live in front of the councillor. And the councillor will give them okay, even before. And he check and he come there and he say, what is it? He say, no objection. Finally, far and south. Out of south, then live.
right, so I don't know what can be done about that. I suppose you just have to comply. All right?
Okay.
Okay. We take a break. We come back shortly. Okay. Thank you very much. We're back here online. And just to mention something in connection with what I was saying earlier. With all the fascist tendencies that have been growing in the country, which Mr. Ennis was mentioning some of them yesterday. They seem we are not able to control crime. It is growing beyond the wildest dreams of or imaginings that one would have had 30 or 40 years ago. The total number of persons murdered in Jamaica that we know of is of the order, was given as of yesterday, of the order of 102 in 24 days. Today is the 25th, but up to yesterday, the figure that was given yesterday, as I understand it, was 102. 24 days. Last night, another 5 persons were murdered in St. James. And a number of others in various other parts of the country. I heard mentioned on the radio at least 3 or 4 others. So that's at least 8. But my information is that the total for yesterday was closer to 14 than to 10. And that would put the number now to 100 and somewhere in the region of 116. So these policies, the totalitarian state, is not anywhere near to imposing order. The order of its design upon this country. How are we going to get out of this mess? We think that we can achieve order by methods of brutality and injustice. It ain't working. It is not working. I hear people screaming. I hear people screaming for the return of hanging. That is not going to help the situation. I hear people screaming for the return of Mr. Adams. While Mr. Adams was on the street doing what he was doing, the crime rate was increasing, wasn't it? One suspects, of course, that we were told a couple of days ago that the government had the minister of severe, extreme and resolute measures, has a new crime plan. It was discussed by the cabinet, but the elements of it have not and will not be revealed at this moment. Now, does that include a state of emergency? Well, let's see now. We're coming up to an election. Wouldn't be the first time that we went to an election under a state of emergency, would it? And desperate times call for desperate measures, it is said. And desperate political parties will do desperate things, especially when they think that it is best for the country for them to form the administration, and that anything that will lead them or cause them to be in office, they regard as being best for the country and in the best interest of the country. And if you wanted to hear a maxim of fascism, there you have it. We always think that it is best for the country for us to form the administration. So anything that will lead us or cause us to be in office, we regard as being best for the country and in the best interest of the country. All that the best interests of the country require is that we have power. Okay, hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Perkins. Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Morning.
Yes. This morning, just a little after your program started.
Speak up, keep your voice up for me.
I'm trying as loud as possible.
Huh?
I'm trying as loud as possible.
Okay, go ahead, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm now totally convinced that your station is being hijacked whenever you are on the program.
Why do you think so?
Because every program that precedes yours is quite clear and uninterrupted. Every program that follows your program, quite clear, strong volume, and uninterrupted. And it has always been so in recent times.
I'm not sure that is so, you know, sir. Because I was listening yesterday afternoon, or I think the afternoon before, to the program that follows this one, Lemon Company, right? And one of the things that I notice is that when the host of the program is talking, I can hear him quite clearly. Right? And I turn the radio to a comfortable level. And then a caller comes on and I can't hear the caller. I can't hear the caller when he's talking, but when the host is talking, I can hear him quite comfortably. And if I turn it up so that I can hear the caller,
and then you have to
when the host comes on, I have to turn it down.
Right? But that is not the problem with your station. It is the distortion, particularly when you're saying something that is of great importance. There is a distortion. The radio, you know...
Oh, is that so?
Yes, it starts having some statics and it is uncomfortable. And I think it is purposely done.
Well, I don't know where it would be done.
Well...
But there are all sorts of electronic devices these days that can be used to...
I know.
So I don't know.
There are accidents, and this one this morning was somebody was doing it, was not too skilled with it, and it broke out. Even you commented. Yes.
Well, I heard it in my headset.
Yes, because it was not done by a professional. Maybe they're teaching somebody else to do it.
I don't know.
You know. Okay, I'll try and listen to you as best as I can.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. All the best to you. Okay, hello?
Hello?
Yes, good morning, sir.
I heard what you said at the opening of the program, and I can only, in your comments, say that, for years, I've felt that the state has been a little heavy-handed, especially when it comes to carrying out certain operations that the police themselves go out there with some personal feeling behind the operation.
Uh-huh.
I had the opportunity once to have a policeman slap me in my face in Greenwich Farm.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, and it was... I was merely pointing out something to another officer, and he slapped me in the face at the time and said, "Let police do them work."
Oh, yes.
So, I at the time didn't report it to the professional standards branch or those people, because I just felt as if it would be telling police about police. So I didn't really feel like I was getting anything. A matter of fact, sometimes even dealing with women police, I find that there's an attitude where no matter how courteous you approach them, there is an abrasive thing, and I don't know if this is the way they behave because of the circumstances of the job that they're in.
Uh-huh.
But the professionalism that I would have expected from them, it's always lacking.
Yes.
Not so long ago, a gentleman...
Well, I wouldn't have been surprised
yes.
to have heard of Nazi police in Germany behaving like that.
Yes, but it is really, something... If
so maybe Mr. Ennis really has something when he talks about Gestapo-like tactics.
Yes, man, but the upper crust never normally get that kind of treatment,
Yeah, but it's reaching up there now.
I say because I know for a fact that a man on my street had some domestic problems with his lady. He was wrong to hit the lady. But when she went to the police station, when the police came, instead of just arresting the man or moving him out of the property, they started beating him.
Oh, yes?
Hitting him with the weapon and kicking him when he fell to the ground.
Oh, my God.
Now, I am saying that the professionalism, these are the things why we can't trust the cops, I remember once you used an analogy where you said, if you had a glass and it was filled with dirty water, and you throw out most of that water, leaving only less than an inch from the bottom, and fill that glass with fresh water, would you want to drink any out of it?
Well,
and my answer to that is no, because I would have known that the glass wasn't washed and it still held some dirty water in it.
Yes, and
I think the police force is more than half full with dirty water, and even if you have half clean water on top of it, it's still a corrupt police force.
Yes, but I tell you something. Recognize one thing, that if the government of Jamaica wanted not to have a corrupt police force, it would have been able to do something about it. It has done nothing.
I think it
has done nothing of any effect. Hold on just a moment for me. Hold on. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello?
Yes, did you hear Mr. Greenspan yesterday? This was in the evening.
Uh-huh.
And he was speaking, I think it was Mr. Ennis.
Yes, he was talking to Mr. Ennis, yes.
Yes, and I really and truly felt that he was approaching the interview from an angle that wasn't as balanced as I would have expected him to approach it. And
why?
Because I felt that he had already spoken to others about the issue and wanted to basically get a feedback from the gentleman, and was almost insistent for the man to say that, explain why he thought that the way in which it was dealt with was wrong. And I don't know, why would someone need an explanation about entering...
No, Mr. Ennis, let me tell you something.
Yes.
This is an extraordinary situation.
Yes.
Right? I have never heard of a
member of the government.
Of a member of a
party.
Well, Mr. Ennis is not just a member of the party. He's a member of parliament. Mm-hmm. One of the party's members of parliament. He's also a minister, a junior minister, and has been one for some time, and was in the Ministry of Finance at one point, right? And for him to be coming out and making a statement like this, right?
Yes.
Is alarming.
Well, at least it
right?
shows me that he has some independent thought and didn't care
well,
about
yes,
which toes he was standing on.
Yes, but I mean, when somebody, some ties mouth,
yes,
as they are called, for making statements like these, when they say it is one thing, I mean, who wants to disregard it can disregard it.
He's being negative. He's being negative.
He's being negative and ties mouth and all this kind of thing. But when a man comes out of the government itself, right?
Yes.
And says something like this, then it is shocking. I mean, I don't see how we can intelligently avoid taking a very serious view of it.
Quite agreed.
Right? And what does the Gleaner have for an editorial this morning? What does the Observer
I remember that term. Is it being a bit exuberant? Is it not exuberant?
I beg your pardon?
There's a term that I hear used these days whenever a minister makes a fumble.
Yes.
And it is being explained. It is not being exuberant, but
youthful exuberance?
Youthful exuberance.
Yes.
Must be youthful exuberance.
Yes, that was what Mr. Pattison said of
Where Mr. Paulwell is concerned.
Yes, Mr. Paulwell. Yes.
You know something, Mr. Perkins? The other day I heard a caller call you and he was asking if you could tell him something that some deed that the intake minister did during his tenure. And I thought for a moment that this person was wasting your time, but after I sat back in my chair, I too was at a loss to think of anything that he has done. So I'm saying, can you, without making a joke about it, is there anything that we can put our finger on that this man has done while as because the internet, the state of technology in the world, cell phone would have gotten here no matter who.
Yes, of course. Would
be. So I'm saying no, we can't necessarily put that as a tangible achievement.
No, it's not an achievement of the government, sir. That's
not at all. Not at all.
Right.
No, I was one of those people who voted for the government in the last election because I'm from Portmore and
yes,
I've always been a civic-minded person, and I know Mr. Lee to be a civic-minded person.
Yes.
But I must tell you that, I was a bit disappointed because I wish he had run as an independent because he seems to be muzzled at every step of the way.
Yes.
And to actually, I'm not saying that I've seen a few things that he has actually tried, but I don't think he knew that job would be as hard as it is.
Uh-huh.
I'm disappointed because a lot of what we know now about the Highway 2000 situation, the other day I was sent home from work because I got there late. And it was it was because of the highway. Getting off the highway to Marcus Garvey took me almost an hour and a half.
Uh-huh.
You understand me? And it wasn't really the highway that caused it, but the traffic jam build-up on Marcus Garvey was extensive at that time in the morning. And when I got there, I wasn't allowed to explain keenly what was the situation. They're of the impression that I should have left earlier. So I was sent home and I'm on a leave of absence for like the next 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Following this thing. So I don't know. Now that we have this highway, it's a nice, beautiful stretch of road. They're thinking about increasing the toll, and I'm really fed up with those people who I thought were there to represent us.
Yes.
I hear them, they're not representing us, I really want to know who is supposed to represent us. We, the people, must represent ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Because the ones who I'm able to talk to, like Keith Blake and that other man there, they seem unable to do anything about the situation more than give them more lip service, which I don't think is helping the situation.
Uh-huh. Well, look here. I was talking about the media.
Yes.
Media's treatment of this statement made by
Mr. Ennis.
Mr. Ennis, right? The Observer, which carried his letter yesterday.
Yes.
They are writing their editorial this morning is about the Baxter Sinclair formula.
Yes.
Is worth trying, right?
Yes.
And this is about a businessman, Jamaican businessman, Baxter Sinclair. Well, a story carried about Baxter Sinclair in today's edition of our sister title, The Observer West. For more than anything else, Mr. Sinclair's success in stemming the 1980s crime wave in Los Angeles, California.
Yes.
By giving some of the most notorious gangsters in that city a job with decent wages, illustrates the miracles that can occur if we move beyond the rhetoric of the many crime plans that have so far proved ineffective, right?
Right.
So they don't think...
Do you believe that would work?
Eh?
Would you really believe that would work?
Well, I think that...
it's worth giving a try?
Well, I certainly think that insofar as the one of the things that is driving crime is the state of the economy.
Sure.
And the absence of opportunity for people to achieve reasonable ends by legitimate means.
Yes.
Right? People want to live decent lives. And they want to be able to survive, to eat, to feed their children, whatever. And if they cannot do it by legitimate pathways,
yes,
then they're going to go some other route.
Well, I'm of the view that hardened criminals, men who have made years of profit in crime, and in some cases haven't really made profit in crime, that their need is not necessarily one of just fulfilling one's ambition of having a job and being able to support oneself and one's family, but to have a lot more. And I think
I don't believe that anybody in this world was born a hardened criminal.
I don't believe that either.
In fact, I don't believe anybody was born a criminal.
I don't believe it either.
People are made into criminals by the social circumstances in which they're brought up.
Quite right.
Right? And if those social circumstances in this country were different, then we would have a different, we would be looking at a different situation now. It could have been one with a lot less crime and a lot more people going about their lawful ways and the country prospering. Right?
I agree.
But the point I was making was in relation, I should have expected that the Observer would be coming out this morning with an editorial on the Ennis issue. Right?
No, the damage control has already gotten to that.
The Gleaner too ignores it. The Gleaner has an editorial about the hypocrisy which stymies casino gaming.
We're pushing the issue under the rug now.
Mr. Ennis is suggesting that government in Jamaica is behaving like a fascist government in a totalitarian state, right?
Yes.
And our two leading papers ignore it.
I don't think. I think it was.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello?
Mr. Perkins.
Yes, sir.
One of the reasons I think that both papers, went to some other stories because I think for one of the reasons is that last year the PM didn't call an election for the reasons that popularity has been waning with many issues, especially here in my community in Portmore.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason
where you have the most expensive parking lot in the world.
Yes, but we have a lot of disgruntled people here that whereas we may not be a real die-hearted party people, we are people who are trying to make something of this country.
Uh-huh.
No, we are not happy with the PM. And I think the PM is trying to put some time and some space. And I don't think she needs anything negative like this falling out of the mouth of one of hers, Uh-huh. So he's probably I hope they don't reprimand him too strongly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, one expects the Prime Minister to respond to this.
If she doesn't, it's not because we may not hear it, but I'm sure she will.
Well, I don't know. But she must respond publicly.
She should.
Right?
Mr.
It has
Perkins.
been said by one of her ministers that that her government is behaving as if it were a fascist government in a totalitarian state.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Ennis himself is the one who comes out and makes some rebuttal or some retraction of his statement.
No, but he was interviewed on 2 radio programs yesterday afternoon.
Yes, and he was speaking like a man speaking for himself. But I'm telling you that he may eventually have to tone it down and try to make some explanation that seems more feasible. But one of the things
but hold on. If even he does that, sir.
Yes.
Right? He has identified some tendencies in the government.
Yes, and has labeled them harshly.
Fine, but the question is it what he says now that is accurate, or what he will say if he decides to take it back? Which one?
I think it'd be to take it back. That would be the most harshest one.
That would be the most what?
The most harsh, because it will then show that he is not a man speaking with his own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Some years ago I was in the States, Mr. Perkins, and there was a radio talk show host, and he was a Jewish man, but you remind me a lot of him because he was a Jewish talk show host.
Yes.
But you remind me a lot of him because...
Do I really?
Yes, because he was very... he got to the point, and he used freedom of speech and freedom of the press to the dismay of sometimes even the owners of the station.
Oh.
Just by getting at the truth, and sometimes the truth can be painful.
Yes.
But he would get to it nevertheless. But the gentleman has passed away now because I think his death was linked to some white supremacist group, because he was the kind of person who I don't think he even feared death.
Uh-huh.
Because he was the kind of person, if he had something to say it, he was going to say it, and he didn't care who didn't want to hear it, promised the truth, and he would say it. And you are that kind of a person.
Am I really?
Yes, you are. It's something to be admired. But at the same time, I wouldn't want anything to happen to you because of your outspokenness.
You think it's likely that something will?
In Jamaica, anything is possible. Believe me, Sir Perkins. So I always hope that
well,
God
sir, how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods?
You're a brave man. You're truly a brave man. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I would have to buckle. But as I said, Mr. Perkins, I would want to listen to you for the rest of my life, so as long as I can. So I wouldn't want anything. So sometimes I think some of the topics that you touch on step on a few toes, and these people are not all that bright. They may choose stupidity over common sense.
Uh-huh. Well,
my father once told me that never argue with an idiot, or a fool, because he'll first bring you down to his level and then beat you with his experience. So I sometimes people think that I'm not as confrontational, but you are the kind of person who you know what you're talking about, and a lot of people out there would choose to spin, and I'm not surprised that the newspaper is doing what they're doing, because I've noticed that pattern for some time now. You know, without you pointing it out, many people have noticed that pattern for some time now.
Yes.
You know, I think something like even Traffic Guru was something that a lot of spinning took place around, to the point that they have everybody thinking that it's okay, everybody do the same thing.
Yes.
And it's not like that at all. You know, but I want them to know that they are bright, young, intelligent people paying attention, reading, and listening. Yeah? And the Jamaican, I hear Mr. Patterson said that the Jamaican of today is a different kind of Jamaican. It's not a Jamaican. So, before.
Well, that is when they demonstrated and upset the government over the gas price.
Yes, and he made such a statement that, well, he better believe that we don't need him to tell us what we are. We know what we are, yeah? And we are paying attention, you know. I've lived under both governments, yeah? And what both governments have to offer. I'm not preaching politics who people vote for. That's a decision they're going to have to make when the time comes.
Yes.
Yeah? But we are paying attention.
All right, sir. Glad to hear that.
All right. Have a pleasant day.
All the best to you. Okay, hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Perkins. I work in Linstead.
What?
I work in Linstead, so I have to drive through the gorge, right? Because the gorge is supposed to be closed between 10 to 3.
It's right? Supposed to be closed this week?
Between 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Because they're doing some work on the road. I go to work at 2 o'clock, so I have to drive
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Pardon me?
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
In the afternoon. Yesterday I drove Sligoville, and after I came off of Sligoville, I saw that the gorge was open.
Yes.
No work going on, right? Now, I was told, this morning I called Bogwalk Police Station to find out where I must drive this afternoon. I was told that it will be open until further notice.
Yes.
Right? So, my mother-in-law also works in Linstead. She drove through the gorge earlier this morning, and they were collecting money, right? Now,
who was collecting money?
The workers that are supposed to be working on the road.
Yes.
Right? So I called 119. First I called back Bogwalk, and his reply to me was that if they're charging the money, we're to pay it.
Oh,
right?
why?
I called 119 because I got very, very upset. I called 119 a while ago, and her reply to me, the lady that answered the phone, her reply to me was that if we know that I'm charging the money and we're still driving that way, we're to pay the money. Right? Now, I am saying to her, I don't know what to do now. Right? Because I cannot afford to pay this money off of the salary that I get. Right? And we're supposed to be reporting the wrongs in this country. To who? To who, if nothing is going to be done? Because I'm asking if they cannot send police out there to find out what is going on. The lady said that she's getting reports from morning, and if they're charging the money, we're to pay the money.
She said that she was getting reports from morning?
Yes, that she's getting reports about it from this morning.
The police are getting reports?
Yes.
That people are carrying out an extortion racket?
Yes.
In the gorge?
Yes.
And their advice to you is just to pay the money?
Yes, that's their advice. Her reply was, if we're stupid enough to drive that way and they're charging the money, we're to pay the money. That we deserve it.
If you're stupid enough to drive that way?
Right, that we deserve it.
Oh, hell. Well, in that event, I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. The state is supporting the police.
Yes.
You're telling me?
Yes.
Are supporting extortion?
Yes.
I follow you.
I don't see any other way of looking on it.
Yes. Well, I don't know what the devil to tell you. Because
the Bogwalk police told me this morning
that it was
will be open until further notice.
Yes.
Right?
And when you call back the Bogwalk police, and told them that they were extorting people, money from people. They said just pay it and drive on.
Yes.
And 119 told you the same thing?
The same thing that we deserve. If we're stupid enough to know that that is going on, then we must pay the money. If it mean that, her words were, if it mean that them collecting $1 million, to pay the $1 million and drive through.
She actually said that?
She said those words.
Oh, well.
I don't, when anything is, when we have something to report to the police, right? What is the sense of them encouraging us to call them and to report it when nothing is being done, when they're obviously in support of these people? When they're obviously supporting them. All day long on the news, them talk about extortion. Who are we supposed to report it to?
Yes, well, all right. I tell you what, we could try to call. We could see whether we can get anybody from the police to comment on this.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Yes.
Hi, Mutty.
Oh, Mr. Chuck, how are you?
Not too bad. You wanted to discuss a matter with me.
Oh, yes. The matter of Mr. Ennis's statement. He's saying that the government of which he's a junior minister is a fascist government using Gestapo tactics, reminiscent of totalitarianism.
But, finally, when it starts to affect a member...
I beg your pardon?
Finally, when it starts to affect a member of the government personally,
yes,
they see that the behavior of the government is most unbecoming.
That is quite true.
Because if Mr. Ennis was not affected, or his club, Olint, was not affected, I mean, this is a gambling club.
Well,
I can only view Olint as a gambling club.
He admitted yesterday afternoon that there were a number of other cases that he knew of in which the government had behaved in this manner.
And I know quite a few others.
But he had said nothing about them. And now his own club is involved.
Yeah.
So he opens his mouth.
Yeah. Let me say this, Mutty. I think Olint, from what I've heard, where you get 10% interest per month, and there are other similar clubs, the people of this country must be warned that that sort of interest is totally untenable over the long run. There's no doubt that for a month or two, you can get that interest. But the likelihood is for you to get it every month is absolutely impossible.
Well, Mr. Ennis said yesterday that I think that he said that he had got as low as 4% and as high as 14%.
That is correct. I've heard of these figures, Mutty.
Yes.
And they're averaging out around 10%. Now, when you trade in foreign exchange, Mutty, you don't, not every month you win. Not every week you win.
Yes.
It's like I go to Las Vegas every now and then. And if I sit at the gambling table and I'm winning all the time, then I would remain there forever.
Yes.
But you win and lose. Now, the way that these clubs have operated, every month they win. In other words, whether it is science or gambling or strategy, the impression I get is that these clubs make significant profits. And I don't know if you saw last Friday in the Financial Gleaner, where a similar scheme operated out of Colorado.
Yes.
And the man was charged with mail fraud.
Yes.
Now, in that case, that man was charged with fraud, and I'm not saying this is fraud, because in that case, he solicited from people.
Yes.
In this case, the investors are putting in their money voluntarily.
Yes.
So if they win, fine. If they lose, it is up to them. So it is a voluntary thing with Olint, like what Mr. Ennis is doing.
Yes.
But I would like to take this opportunity, Mutty, to warn people that when they put money into these clubs, they must just put in what they can lose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, there's no guarantee. Because if they ask the club operators for an audited statement and where the money is invested, you're going to have great difficulty getting that.
Yes.
They're not prepared to give it to you.
Yes.
You come in voluntarily or you don't.
But that is quite true. That is quite true. I was when I first heard about it,
yes,
I was highly suspicious of these consistently high interest rates that were supposed to be accruing.
Quite. No, there's no doubt, Mutty, that what was done by the authorities is something that no government agency should be engaged without the proper and warrants being served and so on.
Yes.
Now, you know, Mutty, that this is not always done. And sometimes the sort of officious and the strong arm tactics that are used to invade people's premises is what exactly Mr. Ennis is complaining about.
Absolutely.
In other words, Olint is operating, a number of middle-class people are investing their money with him. So there's no need for you to bring in, strong-arm tactics. Just one or two persons can go there and deal with it. The same when Mr. Ernest Smith's office was invaded by police officers.
Yes.
Even if you have a warrant to serve, you don't have to behave as when you do, you're going to arrest a number of dangerous criminals. Your behavior can be more becoming. Now, you see, unfortunately, Mutty, a behavior pattern has developed around Jamaica that if you're going to invade a house, any house, you have to bring maximum force. To serve your warrant and to get whatever information you want to get.
Apart from that, Mr. Ennis is saying that that no infraction of the law was pointed out.
Well,
right? They're not claiming, or they have not said that he has broken this, that, or the other law. What they did was send a whole truckload of policemen with long guns to raid his office and to seize various things. Right?
Yes.
And it reminds me, he mentioned a number of other instances in which similar behavior had occurred.
Yes.
And but he didn't mention the invasion of Central National Bank. Right? Which led to which seems to have occurred because of the refusal of the owners and managers of that bank.
Yes.
To effect a transfer to a certain gentleman of more than half of the shares of the bank. Right?
Well, Mutty, I'm not denying that there are certain instances in which financial institutions may have to be closed down if they're unable to satisfy, their creditors. But all that one would say, you need to do it in a manner befitting a civilized society.
Yes.
And you go through the proper procedure because these are very important steps in a democratic and civilized society. I don't know what the Financial Services Commission has an Olint, but to the best of my knowledge, if persons are engaging in investment advice and collecting money, the likelihood is that they can investigate such an agency. So nothing is wrong in investigating persons who prefer or claim to give investment and financial advice.
Yes.
So I have no problem. But what I agree with Mr. Ennis, that the way you do it must not compare with Gestapo tyrannical behavior.
But Mr. Ennis is going beyond that. So Mr. Ennis is saying that this pattern of Gestapo, the use of Gestapo, what he calls Gestapo tactics.
Yes.
This is not the first time it is happening, he says.
No, but he's just admitting what you and I know.
Yes.
You and I know, and I mean, to be fair to Jigs Ennis, he is now recognizing that his government has not operated in a civilized manner.
Absolutely.
And you're quite right in asking that the government needs to issue a statement in response to Mr. Ennis.
Absolutely.
Either to admit, to reject, or to say we will act better next time.
And not only that, I heard Mr. Ennis being interviewed on 2 radio stations yesterday evening, right? And so far as I'm aware, those are the only two mentions of this matter in the media.
Well, you know, Mutty.
Right? Apart from what's the Observer carried yesterday.
But you know, Mutty.
No, I should have thought that the Observer would be coming with an editorial this morning on the matter.
Not only that, I mean all of the major talk shows and commentators
absolutely
have picked this up as a matter deserving of national discussion.
Absolutely.
Because if you have a government behaving like Hitler,
yes,
or approaching Hitler tactics, then it's about time you ask the question, have they gone too far?
Yes.
And I mean, I would hope that your discussion will cause the government to act. And
it's not only in relation to this, to matters of the kind.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happens when a policeman goes down into some area, kick down people's door and beat up the man and do all kind of something.
You know, Mutty, one of the things that I've always said to the police, policing work is already difficult, but they make it more difficult when they behave like that.
Yes.
And that is a concern which really and truly we need to examine carefully to ensure that you know, we remain in a democratic civilized society.
Yes. I heard a lady in Parliament last night on the television news, I think it was TVJ, advocating the use of chemical castration for boys of in the vicinity of 12 years old who have uncontrollable sexual urges.
Mutty, you know, any healthy boy between the ages of 12 and 17 may well have to get chemical castration. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. Because to say, you know, any normal healthy boy within that age group may well need that chemical castration. Because there's no doubt that at that age, the physiological impulses of young men are extremely strong.
Yes, but
you know, no, but what all I'm trying to say, Mutty, is that, you know, we the adults must recognize that we have passed through that stage. We have had the benefits of education, church teachings, etc., in order to deal with it.
Yes. But I don't remember, Mr. Chuck.
Yes.
When I was that age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fine, your sexual urges, you know, instincts were coming alive, right? But I don't remember it being the practice of young boys of 12 in my school or wherever.
Yes.
Raping girls, and I went at one point to a co-ed school. Right? There were girls around. There were no cases of rape occurring.
But you know what?
Hold on just a moment. Later on, before the elections, you're going to hear that the PNP is trailing by about, is moving forward, I beg your pardon, is ahead
but yes,
by about at least 15 points.
Yes, there is a thing called heads me win, tails you lose, you know. But I would like to use that on the PNP, but in terms of Mr. Finn,
but look, sir, let us,
the poster.
Yes, but let us be objective about it. The PNP has tended not to be very good at government. But they are absolutely
very bad.
But they are absolutely.
When you say not very good, you know, you're giving them some credit to some extent, because you can say very bad and nobody will really castigate if they are reasonable and have some amount of sense.
But they are absolutely first class when it comes
to propaganda and misinformation.
When it comes to winning elections, right? However bad they perform in government. When the election comes up, man, they know how to rinse it.
But when we look at it now, suppose the St. Lucian pollster tell you that the PNP is going to win. You can't believe him, because him said the incumbent was going to get at least 14 out of the 17.
But if
they get only 6.
If he told you that the JLP was going to win, would you believe him?
Well, if he tell us that the JLP going to win, him telling you the truth, only that him don't tell you the real truth.
Oh?
So if him tell us say 1, that's why I tell us I can figure say 10%. Because when the PNP was leading by 8% in the same St. Lucian poll there last year, he said the maximum amount of seats that the PNP could get is 32. So when you're trailing by 1, what is the maximum you figure PNP could get? Probably about 20.
Oh.
So I'm not going to state the real story. So you see, as a pollster, he find himself in such a position that heads me win, tails you lose apply to him. The next thing, some other time you find assistance coming from the most unlikely quarter. And Mr. Jiggs Ennis find himself in that position.
Mr. who?
Jiggs Ennis.
Oh, yes.
Because I intend to run a race, on the next election. And the two contestants are Lady Huggins and Sir Bangarang.
Lady Huggins and what?
Sir Bangarang. A broadcast.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, man, I broadcast it to some extent for one of your moderator there on Monday. And him said that Brian Rickman have to watch him job. But I'm going to identify the trainers and the vets and the groom. You see, the GLP have a vet named Dr. Bartlett, who is a member of Parliament.
Yes.
I do identify any PNP MPs as a vet, but I know one of them that is a breeder.
Hold on just a moment for me. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Perkins. As I was saying, I couldn't identify PNP MP who is a vet. But one of them is connected to the breeding industry. So I intend to use him as a person who will be the vet for the flying filly, Lady Huggins. I was going to identify Mr. Ennis as one of the groom for Lady Huggins, because I know that he is a racing man also. But right now we don't look like when the race comes he's going to be around.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. One expects to hear something today, some comment or something, some response from the government.
Yeah, because I hear Mr. Cliff Hughes asked him yesterday evening, what if the government asks him to walk? And Mr. Ennis said, when we reach that bridge, I will decide how to cross. And that was a very interesting answer. But people like Mr. Ennis.
Well, he already has said so that he's not running in this election.
No, he announced that about a year ago,
yes,
But he was busy out there campaigning for Team Porsche.
Yeah.
So I'm not really as solid as a rock man. And the interesting thing is that when he condemned the Gestapo-like tactics of the government pertaining to this financial thing that was set up, whether it's some gambling club that Mr. Chuck referred to, or whether it's some pyramid scheme, or something good as how the last caller tell you and how you go about making money from it. But Mr. Ennis said that he is a member of the club. And with a man with vast experience in finance, when you have a man like that, instead of going into the area for which he is assigned, rather than joining this club, it gives you an indication as to how is the best way to make money. Because being a former Minister of State in Finance, if he doesn't see government shuffling up government paper and buying government papers as something to contribute to, but rather than form this club that can be regarded as much more lucrative, then it is telling you that the people that the government is not really on the right track. Because now that he's the parliamentary secretary for agriculture, if agriculture was that viable entity whereby people could invest their money and make money, then Mr. Ennis would be going into that area to invest money into agriculture.
Well, I don't know, sir. I rather doubt that there's anybody who is making 10% a month on agriculture, unless he's planting some...
Unless he's planting some green thing up in the hills.
Yes, you know.
Because you remember with the Montpelier orange plant down in St. James.
Yes.
When NCB took their money and put into it, what really happened to it? They lost, but at the same time, Bank of Nova Scotia did not go that way in terms of engaging in agriculture.
Yeah.
So when the rest of the financial institutions fell, NCB, Bank of Nova Scotia was the strongest bank out there. So the people know where they must invest their money in order to get good returns, in order to keep their head above water.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, hello?
Mr. P.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Not too bad. About two young persons, one 22, one 21. Come to me this morning. I had my radio on, naturally tuned into, and they asked me what's the meaning of Gestapo.
Oh, Lord.
I read Mr. Ennis. I think as my mentor, you should be clear.
Yes.
I had to run for my encyclopedia. I know what is Gestapo, and I know in what era it was used.
Yes.
But my encyclopedia tell me that in 1933, it was formed in Germany by Göring.
Yes.
And under the SS, it was taken over in 1936 anyway by Himmler.
Yes.
Himmler was head, not Hitler, Himmler, Himmler.
Well, Hitler was the head of the government.
The police. The SS, the police, Himmler, and it extended to all Germany.
Yes.
And when you have a minister of state, because I also have that article before me, it's a lovely... I commend Mr. Jigzani.
Yes, the Gestapo was the Nazi secret police.
Secret police.
Yes.
You understand? The political police, my encyclopedia says.
Well, that is true too.
And now, that article that he wrote, that is published in the Observer, and that is one for my archives. I want the young people to understand what is Gestapo-like tactics, because... You're using it from morning and you're taking it for granted that everybody know what is Gestapo.
Well, that is true.
And as my mentor, I want you to clear up that for me.
Yes.
Let me leave you now.
It was, yes, we're dealing with Nazism, and he says that the government is behaving, well, in a manner that reminds one of totalitarianism.
Yes.
Right?
And if a minister of government, a junior minister said that.
Yes.
He says they want to not only destroy Mr. Smith's character, they want to destroy his business as well.
Yes.
That's what the article says. Now, I feel some substance, some truth is in that.
But not only that, sir.
Yes, sir.
In interviews that he did yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
On 2 radio stations.
Yes.
This one and...
yes, sir.
And the Cliff Hughes one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He mentioned other occasions on which the government had behaved similarly.
Gestapo.
It wasn't exhaustive.
Yes.
But you know, because he didn't mention, for example, as I have pointed out, what happened at Central National Bank and other banks in the early 1990s.
Yes, sir. And I remember the Germans say it had nothing to do with them. They're only picking up the Jews.
Yes.
And other people said, nothing to do with me. I'm not a Jew.
Yes.
And when they came for those people, there was nobody there to say anything.
Absolutely.
And this is my greatest fear. And if fish come from sea bottom and tell you shark a lick down there, you better beware.
Absolutely. And I tell you something.
Yes, sir.
What Mr. Ennis said inspires one to put together not only what is happening, what happened to that
Olin,
and what happened to the banking system, right?
This tactics.
But the atrocities being committed by agents of the state against citizens all over the place.
Of course, this tactic was carried out on Mr. Simit. Mr. Simit. You remember Mr. Simit's office?
Yes.
I hope him don't hear me because he's a friend of mine, Mr. Smith. They carried it out on his office. And they tore his office down.
Well.
You understand? Mr. Smith, not Simit, because I have so many friends named Smith. And if they hear me talking about Simit, they'll call me and cut me off. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you too. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Brother P?
Yes?
Thanks for pulling me on board, man.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
Well, they are sharing left the wooden spoon and the salt.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, man.
I should have thought that you would more prosperous down in San Elizabeth.
Well, actually, though, I was in my garden a while ago trying to circumpose some hibiscus.
Oh.
Yeah, man. And I want to tell us I get a call from a very alert and conscious listener of yours out there in Radio Land.
Oh.
So me say, now that I reach, I have to correct it. Well, him tell me, say, him hear me some time ago talking to you about the Patrick Genius case.
Yes.
And I did ask you that when the Lord, what's them call them?
Yes, Lords.
Right, of London gives you a written judgment. I would love to get your comment on it.
Yes.
Well, him tell me that the written judgment is now ready.
Yes, I heard a mention of it in the news. But I've not myself seen it.
Okay.
But I gathered that what they said was that the DPP, they could not be blamed for, they had to agree with his decision not to prosecute, since the evidence, it was the evidence that would have been available to him was unlikely to disprove the claims of the police beyond a reasonable doubt. Something to that effect, right? But part of the problem there, of course, I'm interested in seeing the full report. Because my understanding is that part of the problem there was that the manner in which the case was investigated would not have furnished evidence. I mean, the police men themselves who were involved in the shooting, as Mr. Richard Small told me on this program,
they were involved in the investigation.
Began the investigation. Right? And they, it was, I can't remember, some 24 hours or something before they presented a gun, which they said had been the Patrick Genius had been using in the shooting. And he raised this issue of policemen who are at the scene of a shooting and who are involved in the shooting themselves. At least beginning and carrying on the process of investigation. Right? What should happen is that they should be required to withdraw from the scene and other policemen come in to do the investigation.
Indeed. Naturally. I wonder if those...
what they should do is, cordon off the scene. And, but then, what happens if, two policemen are up in Mona or somewhere up in the hills of St. Andrew? There's a shooting. By the time police get there from the nearest police station, some considerable amount of time will have passed, in which anything might be done.
Indeed.
Or, if not anything, a lot of things.
True. Another Mutty. Sometime last year, Mr. O.J. Simpson write a book, If I Did It.
Yes.
Saying how he would have done it. I wonder if I could get a comment from you as to what you think about it.
Well, I know that there's been some controversy about it. I haven't seen the book.
Yes.
Nor do I know what its contents are like. But I don't know.
But after all that he had been through.
Yes.
I mean, what view should persons out there who gave him the benefit of the doubt take of this?
Oh, hold on just a moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back with you. You were saying so?
Yes. I mean, persons out there who gave him the benefit of the doubt, Mr. O.J. Simpson. What view should they take of this after all that he had been through?
What? What?
After all that he had been through.
Well, I don't know. What view do you think they should take of it?
Well, I mean, it is almost unbelievable.
What?
To think that he would come up with this sort of idea.
Well, I don't know. What does it mean? The title of the book is If I Had Done It.
Yes.
Which seems to imply that he did not do it.
Yes. But saying how he would do it.
Well,
if he.
No. It may well be.
Yes.
That what it amounts to is a criticism of the case.
Yes.
That was brought against him by the prosecution.
Or it may well be an easy and classical way of making some money.
Well, all right, but
them kind of hype they're selling now.
Yes, but so what?
And curiosity is great.
Yes. I don't know. As a
matter of fact, I get to understand that he collect a hefty sum before the book was even published.
Yes. But so what? That doesn't mean that he did it.
How would you feel if you were a family member of those persons who were brutally murdered?
Well, how would I feel about what?
About the book.
I don't know that I would have any strong feelings about the book.
Yes.
If O.J. Simpson is saying,
yes,
look, that book could be,
yes,
a criticism of the case that was brought against him. In other words,
yes,
that what the prosecution was saying,
yes,
was irrational,
yes,
and that the rational, if he were doing a murder like that,
yes,
right?
Yes.
This is how he would have done it, and what they are saying is something else, right?
Yes.
I mean, it may be a means of attacking the case.
Okay.
Right? He's just saying that the case was irrational. And you know, from my recollection of what was of it, I would tend to agree with that.
Yes, true.
Right?
True. Yes.
I think that that what was brought to court by the prosecution. Yes. Didn't make sense.
Indeed.
Right?
But they had to add to it the evidence.
Well, no, I don't know that there was adding to it, but for example, the gloves that was found at the scene that couldn't fit him.
Yes.
And the suggestion that that the man who was killed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I remember the prosecution brought an expert witness who testified as to how he thinks it happened, or we thought it happened.
Yes.
Right? That Simpson held the man around his chest, pinioning his two arms. Right?
Yes.
Had the knife in his right hand, and was able to draw two lines, two cut marks across his throat, exactly parallel, right?
Yes.
And superficial wounds.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then he had superficial wounds first of all.
Yes.
I mean, that seems impossible to me, because I don't see how he could have pinioned him and held him steady enough to be able to mark his throat across exactly parallel in that way.
Indeed.
Right? Because he would surely have been able to move his head.
Yeah.
Right?
So based upon the facts and
that's
the
point
evidence.
one. Point two. if he went there to murder his wife,
Yes.
and this man just turned up at the scene, right? Then why would he have spent time torturing this man, making superficial wounds all over him, rather than just dispatching him quickly and going to do what he came there to do? It doesn't make sense.
Fortunately,
on the other hand, the wife who was in the house and apparently heard something going on outside, right?
Right.
And opened the door.
Yes.
And came out. She was dispatched pretty quickly.
Indeed.
Right?
Yes.
And all of this suggests that there was more than one murderer at the scene.
Yes.
Right?
Obviously, the jury saw that it did not fit, so they acquit.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, did not fit, so they acquit.
Right?
Yes. Mutty.
And then in addition to that, of course, there was the issue of the blood sample.
Yes.
Which the police took from him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And some of the sample was missing when it went to the laboratory.
Right.
Right? Yes. In other words, what went to the laboratory was less than had been taken from him. Right?
Yes. Yes.
The police had taken that blood sample to the scene of the crime. Right?
Yes.
And where they claimed to have found droplets of blood that matched the sample.
Yes.
Well, the most obvious answer is that that those droplets of blood came out of the sample bottle.
But what the hell of a thing they take upon themselves to do?
Well, no, but then the evidence was that the bottle was not, the blood sample was not, the process was not followed.
Yes.
And it was taken away and carried to the scene of the crime and then brought back.
Yes.
Right?
Interesting.
All kinds of turpitude went on.
I understand. Another thing, Mutty.
Yes.
The Register General Department. Some years back, we heard how much it has been modernized, computerized, moved to a new location. We were looking forward to great things.
Well,
you know, Brother Mutty, when I take into consideration what has been transpiring over the months and years, as I tune from station to station, I hear people complaining. Even the substantial ladies at her wits' end sometimes as to what the hell next to do. Is it possible, Mutty, that perhaps a gentleman like Mr. Ian Boyne, you know, when you watch his program Profile, he has interviewed a lot of persons who have strived for excellence.
Yes.
You know, sometimes he's even asking a question and actually, you know, shall I say, foreseeing the answer based upon what he's saying after asking the question. I mean, perhaps a man like that who knows the logics of how to get things done. By now he might be well able to be the person to put over there to rectify the Register General.
Well, I tell you something, you know.
Yes.
My understanding is that religion has a very strong hold on the Registrar General's department.
Oh?
Oh, yes.
Well, there you go. As a man who have a program called Religious Hard Talk, he may very well get some hard results.
Well, I don't know.
Place.
But it only shows you, you know, that religion has its place.
Yes.
And isn't necessarily universal in its you know, doesn't necessarily lead to efficiency in other areas.
Yes.
Okay.
Mutty, Dr. Omar Davis have come under some severe, extreme, and logical criticism over the years.
Severe, extreme, and logical.
Logical criticism over the years for his management of the economy.
Yeah.
Would you be
for his what?
For his role as finance minister.
Well, there's a little prefix called Miss MIS.
I see what you mean.
I think it was applicable.
What would you think of the idea of him writing a book if I did it?
I would rush to read it. I think it should be very funny.
Yes, before I leave Mutty, a security guard has been asking me over there in Montego Bay for quite some time now to find out from you whatever happened to this person called Ginal.
Ginal?
Yes.
I think Ginal died. Ginal died.
Yes.
Yes. He was, getting on in years when I knew him.
Yes.
Yes. And it's very sad to think, and this is happening all over Jamaica,
Yes.
To think of a life lived.
Yes.
Under the shadow of the conviction that he wasn't born for this life.
Yes.
He was born for something else.
Yes.
But had to live a different life because of deprivation.
Yes.
You know how many people in Jamaica must be living like that?
I tell you.
Huh?
I tell you.
With a sense that they could have done far better.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
If only they had the opportunity.
Indeed. Mutty, from time to time you hear persons, politicians, new leaders saying how much they love the poor.
Oh, come on.
What do you think about these words, Mutty? The people saying, we want a love we can feel.
Yes.
That's the only kind of love we think is real. We're tired to be going by something we heard. Remember, actions speak louder than words. What do you think of those?
I didn't know you're a poet. Yes, well,
yes.
The person to ask about that is somebody like Sister P. She would be able to tell you all about that.
I'm sure she would entertain my my interviewing of her when she has some time.
Yes, well, maybe you could mark her. I don't know whether she doesn't read the newspapers. I don't know whether she reads letters.
Yes. By the way, I gather that within the next 3 or 4 months, your drive to Treasure Beach should be more comfortable.
Oh, yes?
I gather that some money will be spent to rehabilitate.
Oh, within the next 3 or 4 months.
So I get to understand.
No, that puts the election where?
Well, what do you know, January?
Yes. 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
3 or 4 months is going to take us down to April. Or May.
Yes.
But that would be after the World Cup.
Yes.
And
I bet you Ginal had anything to do with this, Mutty. I bet you Ginal had anything to do with this.
Yes.
He would have realized, watch here, while people anywhere deserve good roads, but when you consider the foreign exchange revenue that comes from a place like Treasure Beach,
yes,
due to the tourism factor, I bet you would have said, boy, some of the foreign exchange could have helped some people in other places when you
I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure.
Make we fix
but the thing is, the money has to be spent servicing the debt.
Yes.
And there isn't enough left to service the Treasure Beach Road.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Anyway, thank you very much. All the best to you. Good. Thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon to you.
It's Mr. Perkins.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Not too bad.
I don't want to be too fastidious, but your station, they get any benefit from the system that they use now with the callers holding so long to get to speak to you?
I don't understand what you mean by... What you mean by...
like some of these calling shows where you pay X amount to make a call, and the people organizing it gets a premium from it.
No, sir, we don't have any such arrangement.
Boy, I've been holding on from 5 minutes after your program started this morning.
I beg your pardon?
Kicked off 3 times. I've been holding to speak to you.
Yeah.
From 5 minutes after you started taking calls this morning. And I've been kicked off 3 times, and this is my 3rd attempt holding all this time.
You've been switched off?
Yes, at one time they called us, I got busy signal. And of course I went on the break when you went for lunch. And this is my third attempt. So I've only lost about maybe 30 minutes out of the program from this morning till now trying to speak to you.
Oh, is that so? Well,
yeah.
So I'm awfully sorry about that, but the thing is this, that we have callers, and you know, when we're dealing with one caller, other callers, you know,
waiting.
Waiting. Yes, and what do you think
is a difficult system, though? I'm suggesting that maybe you just make the line busy until you're available again, so that people don't, you know, spend this kind of money waiting. Anyway.
But hold on, we have a toll-free line, you know.
Well, that one is eternally busy.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, this is the only one I've tried with all the 4 numbers to get through.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I know. A couple of things. One, I heard for the first time the comment about that expensive parking lot being referral to the toll.
Yes, it was made by a lady out there.
Yes.
What's her name? I can't remember it.
The other thing is that if those men in the gorge see the government doing these kind of things, what is the example for them to follow?
Well,
and almost like a collection too.
See the government doing what? What do they see the government doing?
That's expensive parking lot. And you have to go through a gate, and if you don't pay, then the police run you down and arrest you. So what's the difference with the men out in the gorge?
Well, I don't know.
Well, that is my take on that. The thing I really call about, though, is the Mr. Ennis's pronouncements.
Yes.
Which are very good pronouncements.
You think so?
Yes. And I listened to Mr. Chuck also, and while he might be right in saying that he's a gambling club, he's very, very wrong. Except as another caller.
While he may be right, he's very, very wrong. What does that mean? While he may be right, he's very, very wrong.
Yes, he's very wrong.
What does that mean?
Because that gentleman that called after and said that everything in life is a gamble. If he's speaking on it from that perspective, then he is right. But foreign exchange trading is not a gamble. Like everything else you do, an investment can be a gamble. I myself have been through bankruptcy, or a state of bankruptcy, 3 times in Jamaica.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir. And these have all been due to the Gestapo-like actions of the government.
Are you serious?
Which are not necessarily sending gunmen or police to a place, you know. But the economical pronouncements and rules that they change from time to time.
Yes.
Because at one stage and it has happened on both sides. At one time when Mr. Cielo was in power, and they used to ban all of these importations. And
ban all importations?
No, all of these different things that I used to ban as imports that you couldn't get to buy. Things from Taiwan and China and all of that. Certain products. And I went into a manufacturing business here. And the Saturday in the Gleaner, the announcement was made that all of these products that I was making were now taken off the ban.
Yes.
Tuesday morning, the best I could do, when I went to the store that were to buy from me and saw all the things coming from Taiwan, because these people know ahead of time when these things are going to happen. All I could do was put up 2 pieces of cardboard and a light post at the front of my building and say everything for sale. And sold what I could for what I could get and come out of that business. I was versatile enough to jump into another business.
Well, let me ask you something. Why did you take that attitude to it? Why didn't you seek to make your business competitive?
It couldn't be because when the materials that we bought locally, which were being manufactured locally, the company that used to manufacture locally used to set a higher price and we could import the things. And that company also went out of...
Hold on. The company
that used to manufacture
the raw materials
that we used to use in Jamaica for these things.
Yes.
Also went out of business shortly after. Because their prices weren't competitive based on, their production costs. And this has been a trend in Jamaica for many years.
Yes.
It is so much easier to import something
but then
at all cheap prices.
But then surely this is a serious problem that we have.
It is.
Right? Because we are living in a world which is going the way of WTO.
Right.
Free trade.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to survive in such a world if we cannot produce competitively?
Let me tell you something about that. Another business that I was in, under the GATT agreement, and I think under the WTO too, the government of Jamaica was paid $22 million, and this is documented. It can be found. $22 million under the trade agreement to allow certain imports into Jamaica. And the amount of regulations and restrictions, and because they used to have a quota system, so they dropped the quota system, but they brought in about 5 pages of other regulations that you had to meet in order to import these things.
Yes. And
nobody could meet the specifications. Nobody in Jamaica could meet the specifications. And this is a type of other Gestapo type things that I'm talking about, which are economical Gestapo type operations. But the main thing I call about really is the FX trading.
Yes, but hold on, before you get to that. It is true, is it not?
Yes.
That if you are running in Jamaica a business that is uncompetitive with potential imports,
right?
But those imports are held out, prevented from coming in, right? What you're doing, you are making a living on the basis of the impoverishment of the Jamaican consumer. Am I right?
In what sense?
Well, in the sense that the Jamaican consumer is paying more for particular goods than he could get those goods for.
Yes, and that is why I'm in full agreement now for the global village.
Yes.
You understand?
So
and
therefore,
I stand up for that.
If we are going to survive, the global village has a potential for making the Jamaican consumer, putting the Jamaican consumer into a position where he can buy goods at the best prices.
Right.
Am I right?
Right.
On the other hand, for him to be able to buy those goods at the best prices, he has got to work so efficiently as to be able to sell his produce at the best prices.
Yes, but it also goes, you see, Mr. Perkins, that when we are now say we are in the global village, you know that farming is highly subsidized by the United States. The government.
Yes.
Most products. And right now we are having a raise in the price of chicken meat because they are using...
Hold on just a moment for me. Hold on a little bit. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here with you.
Yes,
hello?
Sir.
You were talking about American agriculture being heavily subsidized.
Yes.
In every discussion like this, that always comes up, right? About the subsidizing of American agriculture.
Yeah.
But American agriculture is not subsidized because it is inefficient, right? It is highly efficient. And highly...
Why it pays them to subsidize it.
And it's highly, mechanized and technological and so on. What is happening is that the American agriculture is competing with manufacturing for capital and labor, right?
Yes.
If American agriculture
I understand that.
were not subsidized, right? It would disappear.
Labor cost.
It
couldn't work based on labor cost.
Yes, it would disappear.
Right.
Right? And the American authorities have, for reasons of security, of their own national security, wanted to keep their agriculture going. Right? So that the road that passes the farmer's gate, the farm gate, right, tends to be paid for more by the tertiary sector of the economy than by the primary.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
Well, that is what is happening.
We are concerned. But, and because of, again, scale, the scale that you can do it in Jamaica, it wouldn't be competitive against theirs. Just by scale alone.
Yes.
Although we have a lot of things to talk about with efficiency.
Yes, and the capital.
Corruption and all that.
Jamaican agriculture, by comparison with American agriculture, is highly undercapitalized.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, well.
Yes,
what American agriculture does with the tractor and a whole raft of equipment, right? Jamaican agriculture tries to do with a horn of fork.
Yes, and one of those reapers wouldn't be economical to run one farm in Jamaica.
Precisely.
Because of the size and the landscape and all that.
Absolutely.
Right. But well, we have exotics that can be highly competitive. We have to go into the niche market.
Well,
but the thing
we are highly competitive in coffee, for example.
Right.
But I don't think we're making the best use of it.
We're not pushing it.
No.
we allow somebody to come and buy it out and see the potential.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that I have to get back to the subject I really called you about. This foreign exchange trading. As I stated before.
You're involved in that?
Huh?
You're involved?
Yes, man. And I want to encourage you to get involved too. Not necessarily to go through anybody else, but to do it
I'm
yourself.
a poor man, we are going to get money to trade in foreign.
I have listen, I might not be able to do it on the air, but let me talk to your control man after, and I will leave a website for you. You can read all about it. You can read the Bill of Rights and everything about the thing. And actually trade for yourself. A novice can do it. A 10-year-old can do it once you can use your computer.
Yes.
You understand? And this is a result of what we've been hearing about so much all over the world, about the global village.
Yes. Which
the internet has brought to us right into our bedrooms here in Jamaica. And if we can compete with the bigwigs and whoever, the high financiers and so in other ways, this is one thing that has been open to a child at school or a banker or the high financer or a man with $10. And I was very skeptical about it when I heard about it first, very skeptical. But I can tell you, as a novice, within knowing absolutely nothing about it and starting to do it. If that man who called you earlier and told you he did 450% since the beginning of January.
Yes.
It is chicken feed to what some people are making, People are consistently making 700, 800, 900, 1,000 and over percent per year consistently. Mark, this is net. You win and you lose,
Then why am I wasting time here?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Hang up the phone and take the address let me give you. And I'm not telling you, the side I'm giving you is not something I would benefit anything from other than having another player on the pool.
Yes.
You understand? And these people charge no commission for you to refer somebody to somebody or to refer somebody to them. It is one of the most reasonable sites we have found, because there are several sites, If you want to find about this thing, just go on a search engine and put in Forex, F-O-R-E-X, and it will show you all of the websites. There are probably dozens of them that do this. They provide the platform on which you as an individual can trade. You don't have to go through a broker.
Yes.
Or anybody.
I see.
And this is something that the high financiers, the big, it is sustained by the world trade of different foreign currencies, the major currencies. You understand? And it is just a matter of demand and supply.
Yes.
You understand? And you can now tap into this resource And if you trade carefully, like you hear the man referring to David Smith being like a 10%. David is somebody I know personally. And all this thing that you see them talking about, trying to get him down and all of that, there are things I could tell you, but I have to speak to you offline.
Yes.
But it is more than his business that is in danger. You understand?
Well, I gather that he
And it is out of jealousy from other financial bigwigs in the financial pool that are just jealous over him paying so much money, because these people are making hundreds of % on your money that you give to them.
I see.
And they're paying out how much you can get on a foreign exchange account, the highest you can get on a foreign exchange account in Jamaica. Maybe 4.5%, if so much.
I don't know.
Regardless of the size.
Yes.
You understand? And I can tell you, because I used to work in a financial institution, the financial controller of most of these, of all of them, I would dare to say, the big finance houses in Jamaica, have a certain percentage of those houses liquid assets on the foreign exchange trade.
Yes.
Every day, every second, and they earn interest on it every
second. This includes the banks.
By the second, you know.
This includes the banks, does it? This includes the banks.
Everybody.
Well, let me ask you something.
Because the pussy is getting out of the bag now.
Yes.
Let me just say this to you. When Mr. Manley was in power, the people who used to do, I used to be afraid of customs, you know. The people who used to be afraid of the bureaucracy or whatever, to bring in stuff like the ICIs.
Yeah.
That was one good thing that Mr. Manley did. Although the economy was wrecked in a way that it forced people to find a way to make a living. And a lot of the big merchants who used to have it as an exclusive thing to bring in stuff from all over the world to sell in Jamaica.
Yes.
It was brought down right to the grassroots.
But let me ask you something. Didn't the process of the ICIs bringing in a few basketfuls of goods or boxes, wasn't that a highly inefficient way of going about it?
Very, very much so.
And therefore very costly.
Remember.
And therefore very costly to the Jamaican people.
Yes,
market.
But you can also remember that they were able, at least at the beginning, to cut prices in half.
Oh, were they? Well, how?
I can tell you.
If their methods were inefficient, how would they be able to do this? You mean
they weren't looking for the big markup like the big merchants, and they didn't have the overheads like the big merchants. A merchant has to have a store and a staff, and electricity bill and all of these things to pay, you know. And that is a highly inefficient way to do.
Yes, but on the other hand, he was able to bring...
Mr. Perkins, electricity alone in Jamaica makes almost every business inefficient.
Yes.
That alone.
Yes.
You understand?
That's true.
And we're not talking about labor and all that was things yet. You understand?
Yes.
So I, as a business person now, I've been in business over 30 years.
Yes.
And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, I have some land near down you there. You want some to buy? I want to sell them out. And although that's such a solid investment in real estate,
sell
out some of them and go trade it for FX. I'm telling you.
But let me ask you something. Isn't it true that it is illegal to trade foreign exchange in Jamaica without a license?
Yeah, but you're not trading it in Jamaica. You're not trading it in Jamaica.
Oh, I see.
No, sir.
You're trading
there is
it
no regulation here in Jamaica, whether through the Cambia law, which they are trying to transmit with. Right? The Cambia, the one that governs the FSC, what it is. None of those laws can control the thing you do on the internet. I don't hear anybody, there are a lot of people right now all over the world, you know, who are making good income and good returns from trading on eBay.
Yes.
You know about eBay. Where you can buy and sell products, commodities.
Yes.
Foreign exchange is just another commodity. You understand? I mean, you buy something today, you sell it tomorrow, make a profit. It don't matter what it is you're buying and selling.
But if I if I have an American dollar in my pocket,
right,
and you want an American dollar, and I take it out and sell it to you, that's breaking the law, isn't it?
So they say in Jamaica, but I am not selling it to you in Jamaica. There is no law governing the internet. You know how much crime is being carried out on the internet, which does not make it right, you know.
I see.
I'm saying, but there is no law governing it. And there is nothing wrong with you buying $1 today and selling it tomorrow for 20% more tomorrow on the internet. Your account is not in Jamaica, you know.
I follow you.
Your money is deposited
in a foreign bank.
And that money goes on into an account.
I follow
with the market maker, which is
hold on just a moment. Hold on. Okay, thank you very much. We're back with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you're telling me that there's a hell of a lot of money to be made.
Yes, Mr. Perkins, you're being exposed to the foreign exchange market internationally.
Yes.
This is the platform on which all the international banks, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of whoever, all these high-flying financiers, right? People having pension funds. I mean, you're talking billions and billions of dollars. And you're trading, you know, the Japanese yen, the British pound, the euro, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, Canadian, US dollar, all of the monies, the big currencies against each other. Right? So when you go and you put in your money and you say you're based in US dollars, you buy British pound and sell it against the yen. If the yen goes down, your money goes up. So it is the foreign exchange rate, just like how you do it here in Jamaica, where you see it goes up a few cents one day and $1 another day and come down. That is exactly what is happening on the market out there. But the Jamaican dollar is so insignificant that isn't traded internationally on these platforms.
I follow you.
Do you understand?
So what you do?
Dollar, which is so strong.
You convert your Jamaican dollars into, let us say, US dollars.
You buy US dollars. And you put that in a US dollar account in the United States in a US bank. So that when they came and hold on and David did foolishness because they can't touch him, all the man have to do is buy another computer. And the following 10 minutes he could be trading again.
Yes.
You understand? So and he does it offshore. The company is not registered in Jamaica.
Yes.
You understand? So they have nothing at all on David except jealousy.
But on the other hand,
they perceive him to be a threat.
On the other hand, when Dr. Davis wants some money to borrow on the local market, right? That money is all gone into US dollars to trade on the internet.
Yeah, but I mean, how much is that? Is that a drop in the bucket, sir?
What?
The little that is being traded out of Jamaica. It's a drop in the bucket.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, a big bank wouldn't expose more than maybe 5% of the liquid assets on it. You understand?
As little as that?
Yes, and they can make billions with that. Because you don't hear how much money the bank's making in Jamaica. You think it is just out of lending money for a few percentage points more to somebody who wants a mortgage or an investor doing something, and they are paying you 5% on your account and lending it out at 20-25%. You think that is what makes the billions?
Yes.
No.
No.
That is not it, sir. It is trading stocks and trading foreign exchange and other investments that they do.
I follow you.
Yeah, that is just a little pinhead of
But do it on cheap money that they get. Do it on cheap money.
Very cheap.
Yes.
You get it they get it very cheap, and this is what is causing the upset.
But what you all are doing now is telling people
to join the club.
Join the
Yes, sir, and I'm inviting you to do it as well. Because with the global market or the global village in whether it be manufacture or whatever else, being so we're so what you call it, uncompetitive, based on the global scale. Now this is just one way of a little man getting onto the back of the global thing and riding it as long as it lasts. And you must remember, that if even it is volatile, but it is not as risky in most cases as trading stocks. Because you can buy a stock today on a company that is running, look at Enron the other day. You understand? And the next day, your millions are gone in one company, stocks in one company.
But it sounds as if it might be less risky than having a herd of cattle.
Oh, yes, sir. then with cattle in Jamaica now, the thing that we're going on, man, sending a container truck to clean off your farm.
Or even a donkey.
And the poor man that was on TV the other night with his 10 head of goat, which was his pension.
Yes. And did you see the one who had the donkey?
Oh, my God.
All right, so thank you very much.
I'd like to speak to your engineer.
All right, hold on just a moment for me. Okay, hello? Hello? What's happening? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Treasure Beach people, sir.
I'm not hearing you.
Calling on behalf of Treasure Beach people.
Oh, Treasure Beach. Yes.
Sir.
We had somebody talking about Treasure Beach's problem.
Yes, this is fine. I hear. And the big general, they start the drain. Bleed the water from the pan when we have hurricane season and hard heavy rain.
Yes.
It start and it stop. So they would like to know why it stop. If a since then started and final take our work or the money done.
Probably the latter.
For the big final.
Yeah?
Yeah, for the big
probably the latter, the money done.
Huh?
Omar don't have the money.
When they started.
Well, this is how they do things, sir.
After the big general use it. You stock their money down the drains of rope.
Yes, I know your roads down there are in awful condition.
Right. I hear one caller tell you, say them have a plan to fix it, but I never hear to the beach. I hear man to go to Malvern.
Yes.
Road Hill and go to
Road Hill.
Yes.
Is that road fixed?
No, I hear my talk about it, have it on John Drive to fix.
Wait, hold on. That road hasn't been fixed yet?
No, I don't think so, sir.
Boy, I tell you something. I was on that road. Well, it was Ivan that damaged that road, didn't it? Wasn't it?
Our road into the beach. Our road, Ivan mashed it up.
And
the rest of hurricane.
That road was impossible after Ivan. I mean, I remember going up on that road, right?
Yeah.
And all the huge craters and potholes. We're going in a four-wheel drive, SUV, right? And when we almost reached up to Round Hill, we had to start reversing down the hill. Because there was one crater there that we just couldn't risk going into. Right?
Okay.
And if that road has been like that all this time, boy, things are serious.
Yeah, at this very kiss, I'll give way. Right? And I don't know why she don't call it election. Shall we win?
Eh? You don't think so?
No, sir.
Why?
Win.
Why?
No. And Mr. Perkins, let me tell you this, and I bet you, if they win, maybe she spend a day in that seat on the steering wheel.
Maybe she spent a day?
Yes, sir.
Then who went take over?
And now Omar Davis and Peter Philip and all them man behind them. They overthrew her.
Oh, you're joking.
What? Mr. Perkins right now, if I'll bet you. If they win, you know. I mean, it's not, they're not here, what she said.
Well, let me tell you something. They don't have bad government in Jamaica. Doesn't necessarily mean losing elections, you know. You know that?
Yes.
I mean, these people have, in the 18 years that they have been in office, I don't think that there is one term in which it could be said that they had done well in government. And yet they have won more elections on a run than at any other time in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So look, winning elections doesn't necessarily mean performing well in government.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay?
I don't think
the PNP is very good at winning elections.
Yeah, but more than using General.
Well,
General. Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
I would like some bigger general come and here with you. Explain their mind and tell the service people what's happened to, if I'm done the money done, what's happened to the gains.
They don't like coming on this program, you know. So.
The past 2006 hurricane season. I mean, never happened. And we don't know what may happen in 2007. Maybe worse happened in 2007 month, 2005.
All of that, that's possible.
So I really like some big general. I want general and this guy, sweet mouth, and Sister P with the Hagankies.
Somebody, who you calling Sister P? Who is Sister P?
Yeah?
Who is Sister P?
Hagankies.
Oh, you mean Lady Huggins?
Yes, sir.
Lady Huggins.
Yes, sir, Lady Huggins. Oh, Sister Perkins.
Yeah.
Change Sister P to Lady Huggins. Okay.
All right, so thank you very much.
And I call the next time I say Lady Huggins.
All right. All the best to you. Okay, we take a break. We come back shortly. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon to you.
Am I on the air, Mr.
You are indeed.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Today I had heard a commotion on my road in Mona Heights.
In Mona Heights?
Mona Heights. And when I went outside, I saw about 10 young men in JDF uniforms, each with long rifles pointed, some crawling on their stomachs, some stooping, some standing. I asked what was happening. One of them, who was, I presume, the leader, told me they were having a training exercise. I voiced my concern, as for over my 50 years living in this residential community, I had never seen anything like this. I pointed out that one of those rifles could go off by accident. They said they had permission to conduct this exercise, and using rifles was just like cleaning their teeth with a toothbrush. This reply still left me feeling very apprehensive. So I just thought I'd run that by you.
Yes, well, you know, this is you read Mr. Ennis's letter in the Observer yesterday?
Yes.
Well, that is the kind of thing that things that happen in totalitarian states.
They don't say anything to us, you know.
Yes, well, I'm not concerned about you.
No. Instead of going down to Montego Bay, you know.
Montego Bay?
You know,
why Montego Bay?
With all the crime that's happening down there.
Yes, but I mean, there are law-abiding people in Montego Bay, and to
to help with the mess down there with the crime.
Yes. Well, I really don't understand why they should have come into Mona Heights for an exercise like that.
Neither do I. I'm still at a loss. I thought
or in any other settled community. They can do that in the fields or something. I don't know.
I just thought
Or in camp?
In camp? I mean, I'm really sad. I said I'd call and tell you.
Yes, indeed.
So that, rest of the community will hear. Thank you, Mr.
All right, Mom, thank you.
Right.
Hello? Hello?
Dr. Mutty.
Hi, how are we, comrade?
We're here giving thanks to the Lord,
Giving thanks to the Lord.
Yes.
For having anointed Sister P. Lady Huggins.
I heard you this morning on Mr. Chuck pouring corn. What the lady from the Ministry of Health said about potential rapists.
About what?
About rapists.
About castrating little 12-year-old boys.
Yeah, but the lady made a number of proposals.
Chemically.
And at the end, she, it seemed to me that based on the responses coming from her audience, she said, she seems to have been saying, well, if those are not adequate, this is an area that you can look at. Now the media chose to highlight the one about chemical castration. And you
really think that was a worthy proposal?
Certainly, if I were a reporter, I would have...
Let me ask you something.
No, but...
Hold on a moment, huh?
Yes.
When I was a youngster, I didn't hear about 12-year-old boys behaving like that.
Yes.
Huh? Well, 20 years ago.
Yes.
Did you hear of 12-year-old boys becoming involved in things like that?
I would have known of a few, but you see, 20 years ago, the communication system in Jamaica was not advanced.
Oh, is that so?
No, yes.
I'll follow you.
So,
you don't think that there are other factors that are influencing such behavior?
No, I know you'd come to that. But,
yes, that if we could deal with those factors,
yes,
then we could eliminate to a large extent that kind of behavior.
We have not identified...
And wouldn't have to resort to the kind of brutality that is mentioned there.
No, we have not identified those factors. So we have to deal with the factors that we have identified.
Now, why have we been sitting down all these years and not identifying these factors?
No, I want to say to you, Mr. Perkins, that I know persons who have two partners got married, but they chose to involve with animals and other sexual activities.
They tend to be involved with animals?
Yes, and other sexual activities.
Oh, is that so?
Just recently, there was a celebrated case where a man got locked up and his wife went to bail him, and the charge was about involving the cow.
Oh, is that so?
It was on the front page of one of our newspapers.
Oh, hell.
No, I'm saying to you that such persons, society, we have to protect that man against himself, and more importantly...
But hold on a little bit.
Yes.
The man got locked up.
Yes.
And his wife went to bail him.
Yes.
And you're saying that he was involved with a cow.
That's the charge that they had against him.
That's the charge?
Yes.
But is it true? Is it correct?
No, well, I don't know.
I see. All right.
Yes.
Well, we can't proceed on the basis that it is correct.
Yes. What I'm saying. But, we have to protect society against such persons. And
but hold on a little bit. Maybe what we need to be doing is protect such persons against society. Maybe what is happening is that society is turning them into that kind of person. Right? And that if that were corrected, then there would be other kinds of persons, and we wouldn't have to be worrying too much about that.
No, we don't know that society is turning persons into sexual
Yes, I think that is fairly evident.
Well, I haven't seen any evidence of that. So we have to... The victims and the potential victims are the ones who we need to be concerned about.
Look here, sir.
Yes.
Hold on just a moment for me. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here.
Yes.
Yes, when the Jamaica in which I grew up as a boy,
yes,
right, produced products, human products, which were quite different from that which today's Jamaica is producing.
Yes.
Right? And the difference lies not in the genes, but in the social ambiance in which people are brought up and the culture that they imbibe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And today, I mean, in those days, sex was to a considerable extent an outcome of romance and falling in love and, commitment to each other and marriage and all this kind of thing. Right?
Yes.
And even if people didn't get married, I mean, they had unions that lasted years and years. Right?
Yes.
Nowadays, they're telling you that to avoid age, you must use a condom every time.
Well, I'm saying to you, Mr. Frick, I didn't really start. That society can be blamed for many things.
Uh-huh.
And we have been quite damaging to the growth of human potential.
Uh-huh.
But I'm saying that the victims and the potential victims must be protected by any means necessary. Yes.
No, it cannot be any. Well, I don't know about, but this idea of any means necessary might mean that you deprive other people of rights that are theirs, in the hope that in doing so you would have been protecting somebody else.
Once it is clear that the perpetrator cannot be helped, then you deal with him in the most severe method that you can find.
I am not sure that I would go along with that.
Well, we're going to keep building a barbarous society where.
But that is what we're building now, a barbarous society.
The line that the embassy is going to grow larger and larger.
Well, maybe so, yes.
Yes. But help the victims, man. As a man who supposed to be a human rights activist, help the victims.
Who is a human rights activist?
Yes. You.
Am I?
Yes. So I can help the victims and the potential victims.
Oh?
Yes, man. Anyway, give a call another chance. Give another call a chance now.
But look here now.
Yes.
I was expecting you to comment on the statement made by your friend, Mr. Ennis.
The places that you believe I don't have much friends, I have a lot of friends there. And where you believe I have a lot of friends, I have few friends there.
But Mr. Ennis is saying that the government has a kind of totalitarian inclination. They're sending out Gestapo kind type forces to,
My impression is saying sections of the government.
Is what?
My impression is saying sections of the government.
No, if sections of the government means the government?
Well, I'm understanding to be in section. The government is a very section.
But so what you're saying is that the government is disunited. One section is moving in one direction and another in another.
You can interpret that if you want, but I'm not saying that. I don't know.
What Mr. Ennis is saying is that there are Hitlerian tendencies in the government.
Well, you have been saying it.
Yes, but for me to say it is one thing.
Yes.
For Mr. Ennis to say it is something quite different.
And it might mean that we are coming today.
When I say it, people like you say I'm pie's-mouth and negative and all kinds of things.
People like me.
What are you going to say when Mr. Ennis comes out and says it? That's what I'm anxious to hear from you.
I suppose we are reaching the point of solution. I suppose we are reaching the point of solution.
You suppose so?
Yes.
Why do you suppose so?
Because I'm not with much of what goes on in government.
You are not?
No.
And you're not concerned about it?
Well, what I see, what affects me and others, I am certainly concerned.
What affects you?
And others.
Oh, and others?
Yes.
Well, doesn't that affect you and others? If the government is behaving in a matter that reminds Mr. Ennis of Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But
are you concerned about that?
Yes, certainly. There's so much that has happened that affects all of us. But Mr. Ennis is speaking of as someone who has a vested interest and have been affected. So I'm not sure. But
don't we all have vested interest in what goes on in Jamaica?
I'm not saying when this thing affects you personally. They can react in particular ways.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure that, Mr. Ennis is saying that this thing has been happening. And this is the first time that he has really come out and spoken about it.
Yeah, what would be interesting to see if he had expressed it behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors?
And it affected others. Yes.
Well.
So maybe you need to look there.
Well, but that does not mean that what he's saying now is not valid.
Certainly not.
You're not concerned about it?
I'm concerned, but I'm concerned, very much concerned. Yes. And, it's about it,
Yes.
What you remember of me most is as a defender of, government and maybe the party. But I have, over the past 20 years, I have put many of those things in writing.
I see.
And the days when I did a lot of writings, I've spoken about brutality and,
I see.
Yes.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Yes, I called you recently, but I forgot to mention two things. I know we don't have much time.
Yes.
But I must remark on the caller who called 3 times before the last 3 callers. He twisted up my brain with the Forex situation.
The callers who did what?
The caller just before the last 3 or 4 callers.
Yes.
He completely twisted up my brain with foreign exchange trading.
Oh, that, yes. Are you going to your computer?
Well, I use my computer and I see what they're talking about. But, Mr. Perkins, I mean, I am not going to risk, one man came on earlier and talked about high risk and high falls.
Yes.
You take high risk and you lose high as well.
Yes.
So we have to be mindful of that. And I'm not saying that the banks and the other foreign traders are not reaping great benefits.
Yes.
But what about the wider world? What about the United States? What about Europe? What about other places who have banks who are giving low interest rates? Are they all robbing the people? Something don't seem too right to me.
Well, I don't know. What they're saying is that it is possible to make more money going that way. Doubtless there are risks associated with it. And so you can choose between putting your money in the bank and putting it on something like that. I don't know.
Yes, and it's our choice, and so I wouldn't stop anyone if they want to do it. But the risk is there, and the rewards are there too. So you have to be mindful of that. Is all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
What I really call about, Mr. Perkins, is the city dump.
The what?
The dump.
The doves.
While I was there recently over the Christmas holidays, I stayed in Red Hills, and for 3 days and nights.
Yes.
I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe.
Yes.
And I wondered how much more must the people in the surrounding areas suffer from the smoke that affected them for 2 weeks or more.
Yes.
Is the government doing anything? Is the government doing anything about this, Mr. Perkins, or are they always going to get fire engines and trucks to come and sprinkle water and things that take weeks to quell?
Well, it suggests that our totalitarian government is not so much concerned about the people and what is happening to them.
It would seem so to me, because this has been happening over and over and over and over without any serious decision taken to solve this problem once and for all.
It raises 2 questions. Should there be a dump so close to an urban area. One. And two, if there is going to be such a dump, and it is known that there is a risk of fire, shouldn't there be the necessary means of dealing with that fire as quickly and efficiently as possible?
This is my point in calling, and that's the reason why I said I forgot to mention this very important matter.
Yes.
Because I would imagine, if I were involved in government, I would seek to find out ways in which I could construct pipes on that dump, Mr. Perkins, pumping it from the sea, and have it there all the time. That should a fire occur or smoke occur, it is easily available to quell that fire. Because the sea is right there.
Whatever. But,
or like you said, should it be so close to where people live?
Yes.
Move it then to the salt pond in St. Thomas, where the same principle could apply.
Well, I don't know. I would like to see that. That is so beautiful a place. I would like to see that destroyed. But
I don't know what's beautiful about it.
Obviously, you mean
what's beautiful about the salt pond?
You don't think it's a beautiful place?
No. What use is it to the environment?
Well, it is just beautiful to look at. I think it's exquisitely beautiful.
I can't think of anywhere else that you could move the dump to.
Well, I don't know, but in any event, the Hitlerians don't seem to be particularly concerned about those matters,
Yes, and so they need to take that into consideration, because people the reason I mention that is because I saw in today's paper where the Defender General, or whatever he's called,
Contractor General,
to see ways in which
the Public Defender. Yes.
The Public Defender is trying to find ways to see how the people can claim on the National Solid Waste people to find a way to solve their problem. I don't know. Perhaps if they were to send in claims sufficient to...
Boy, I tell you something. I don't know. I have my doubts about that coming to anything.
Well, maybe that's just another situation. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, Mr. Perkins...
Not that the Public Defender isn't right,
But
I don't remember anybody... I don't remember anybody in Germany bringing any such claim against Adolf Hitler with any success or any likelihood of success. Anyway, I have to run it. Thank you very much. All the best to you. Okay, that brings us to the end of Perkins Online for today. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow, usual time and place, and we look forward to your company. So long.